Okay, so yeah, good morning again, everybody. Good morning, Shukri, and all the participants from my class and from Ms. Jenny's class and others. Thank you very much for coming today for this session on effective communication in advertising. Shukri is one of our adjunct professors, and he has very kindly allocated some time for us today to share his experience. Okay, just general housekeeping tips first. Please do keep your mics off until unless you want to ask a question so that it doesn't interrupt people too much. If you have questions, Shukri has said that he prefers if you just interrupt. Then you turn on your mic and say, "Hi, so Shukri, I have a question," and you ask so that it's more interactive, maybe. But if you can't turn on your mic, then you can type it in the chat and we will get to it at some point. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Shukri, I'll hand it over to you, so let's not waste time.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for turning up. I know it's very early in the morning. I'm not a morning person myself, so it's okay. Okay. What basically I would like to go through is basically the topic which has been given, effective communication advertising. I know most of you, especially in the semester 5, are going for your internship. It will be your first experience working in an agency or any related department towards whatever that you're doing. Everyone will have their own processes, every agencies. Okay. Lucky for me and also my team, my partners who have been into like a total, all of us have been like only like 15 agencies. So we know how these people work. We know the processes. So what I'm sharing today is basically the process that all advertising agency adopt to be able to come up with a brief, to come up with an effective communication for clients, because that's the main objective. The job of an advertising agency to communicate effectively with the consumers so that it can boost sales, it can do whatever that it needs to be done as far as the product and brand is concerned. I have a few slides which is rather dry, to go through because I don't mind. I didn't intend it to be like a lecture because you're talking about effective communication. I think there must be a process, those are words. But again, I would like to work together with you if you can throw in certain examples so that we can work together. Because there are certain examples of with the brands that I work with. I spent almost 30 years in advertising. I left the industry. I didn't leave the industry. I left the advertising agency in 2009. I set up my own, which is a consultancy. I will share a deck with you in terms of a very brief introduction of who am I and my company, so that it is relevant to the topic that we discuss. Because you need to know from there, in terms of what I've gone through, so that it's easier for you to ask questions. Because going through the industry for 30 years, I got a lot of stories to tell, but all you need to do is to trigger my recall memory so that I can share with you a story. Even though it's a long time ago, but I must assure you one thing hasn't changed, the strategy. Time has changed. Trend has changed. But how do we adapt the strategy towards the current time, toward the time? Because I've gone through 3 decades of the industry, okay? 80s, 90s, and then the new millennium. Now is the second decade of the new millennium, the kind of thing. And then we've gone through the analog era to the digital era. How we adapt to it, how things hasn't changed. Because if you take an example, all the big brands like the Coca-Cola, the Levi's is 163 years old. Coca-Cola is 130 years old. Why do they still survive? Things have changed. They have changed CEOs so many times, but the brand hasn't changed, because the brand stick true to the idea of what they stand for. So that's what I'm going through right now. For you to be able to come up with a good brief, you have to understand what the brand stands for. You don't change because don't change freely because consumer cannot follow you because okay. I will go through my deck. I will share it right now. Let's see how do okay. Okay, let me go through again. Okay. Can you see?
It's your browser window, the Zoom link, not
The
the
Zoom link.
PowerPoint.
Oh, where does the Zoom link came out? You are sharing the screen sharing. Is this?
Maybe you shared the wrong window.
Is this?
Nope, still
No.
the Chrome browser, I think, or the Safari.
Yeah, this always happen when we tested just now. It went well.
Yeah.
Why does the browser say launch meeting again? Where I already have you all on my screen.
No, that's because I guess you opened the link just now, so the window doesn't automatically close.
Okay.
Yes, close it.
Say
Yes.
okay. Okay. Oh, where? Oh, oops.
Isn't?
Oh, okay. Where do I go?
You maybe need to stop sharing first and then share again.
Oh, that's what I'm trying to do. Okay. Okay. Hold on. Hold on. Stop sharing. Okay. Share again. This one, is it? This is the one. Oh. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Slides are back.
Okay. Full screen. Yeah. Okay. This is topic. A brief introduction of who we are. Okay. Basically, yeah, like I said, when I left the industry in 2009, I set up Rifaie Sethi with my 3 partners. We are basically a consultant company. It's not an advertising agency. We do execution, but we work with people, either a freelancer or a small agency to do execution for us. Because when I was in advertising, we do execution, we do everything. So this one, we just do the thinking. The whole idea of me setting up this company is basically the thinking process in this country wasn't that strong in the past 3 decades that we worked on, even until today. Okay, it's very difficult for us to sell our consultancy because people don't buy thinking. People buy products, people buy ads. That's the problem. Okay, so when we set this thing up, okay, we have to change like that. These are my partners. The green ones are very active right now. Me and my designer partner Asri. Asri is the designer a veteran designer, just like me, almost we are the same age. He was the team that created the Petronas logo and the MAS logo and all those era. These are the 80s. Maggie Chua and the gray guys. Maggie Chua has retired. Okay, but it depends on certain key projects. She will come and help me out, And Kapil Sethi is a strategic planning director, originally from India. He's been living in Malaysia for the past 25 years, So he was my partner. These are the key guys. The 2 gray people in the gray box are the 2 guys that are very close to me, work with me in 2 different agencies. They themselves were like CEOs of multinational agencies before we set up our own. Maggie was the CEO of Publicis. When she left Publicis, she transferred it to me, so I became CEO. I took over. Publicis is a French-based agency based in France. Those days, they were number 2 agency group in the world. Kapil was Grey Malaysia CEO, but before that, it was strategic planning director in McCann Erickson, where I was. These are the agencies that I work with. I mentioned just now, because all ad agencies, they have the tools of how they process their thinking to be able to come up with a brief, to come up with a good ad for the agency. BBDO has closed. Okay, Bates Malaysia is only an office without people. Again, I think Bozell also closed down. Euro RSCG, now something else. I don't know. Future Brand is in India. Grey Malaysia, J. Walter Thompson is not called Wonderman. Johan Design is where Asri comes from, and all those things. You look underneath there, they will call holistic, they call it detonator, they call it love mark, strategy at work. These are the processes which each agency, they created themselves in terms of how to come up with a brief. Because these are not out of the blue. It's not like a bulb lighted up and then we come up with an idea and then we come out with a brilliant ad. This is a process which needs a lot of research. Those days, our research, we have to go to libraries, we buy data. Nowadays, you know, you can just Google, you can find it everywhere. It's very much easier to do. So there's no excuse for you not to come up with a good ad. Okay. Okay. Oh, this one is ahead. Okay. This is what we stand for. At the end of the day, with all our experience, our aim is to help local businesses compete with international brands from a position of strength. Okay. A lot of local companies ask us, what do you mean by, you know, position of strength? Especially even new graduates, if you come out, you want to create your own product, you want to create your own brand, you want to sell something. Once you start a business, especially now, if 20 years, 30 years ago, it's different because if you set up something, you are still local. But now, once you start a business, once it's out in the market, you're already international. Whether you sell it outside or you don't sell it outside, whether you export or you don't export, you are already international. Once your product is in the market, you're already competing with international brands because of the access of the information, the access of how people can buy things, you know, those kind of things. I would like to share some example from one SME that I talk about. He sells ketchup. I know he sells soya bean. He said, oh, and then the design was done by his nephew, a very ugly design, you know, no, not ugly, I mean, not proper design. Okay? So he said, why is it difficult for me to go into Giant or to go into Tesco, those things? Because you have to meet a certain standard to be able to, number one is standard. It's not that they check your design or whatever, standard in terms of product. Number two, in terms of what kind of promotion do you do for your brand, for you to put it into my shelf so that people come and pick up. I don't want your brand to pick up dust rather than, you know, the consumer coming and pick up. So my whole idea is that why do you, and his label put that soya bean milk, you know, susu kacang soya, very big. So if you want to sell this susu kacang soya, if you go to Tesco, where do you go? You go to the soft drink side, right? Okay, the soft drink, the carbonated will be one shelf. There's another soft drink and not be another shelf. So why do you have to shout soya bean? Nescafe don't shout coffee. They say coffee, but there's only instant coffee very small there. So the brand is bigger than the product description. What our local business, small businesses fail to do is that they cannot differentiate product versus brand. So they're selling product. You don't have to shout that you are soya bean because you're going to be placed in a soya bean shelf. You're going to be placed in a soft drink shelf. So you don't have to shout that you're soft drink or all those things. So those are one example in terms of not, you know, not being familiar of getting into a market. They say, no, I'm just selling to the local. Yeah, but the local is also buying the international. They are comparing. Like any one of us, you know, we compare. So any one of us, direct or indirect, maybe you advertising student, you're very much aware. Okay, for those everyday people, your family, your parents, or your brother or sister who's not in advertising, all of us wake up in the morning, the first thing we grab is what? Now handphone, isn't it? Everybody will check what message, who messaged me last night, or whom I missed, the kind of thing. Okay. Then you go into the toilet. What do you pick up? Your toothbrush, your toothpaste, and then you go shower, your soap, your shampoo. These are all brands that you interact with every day without you realizing it. It's not by chance, it's by choice. The phone that you pick up, also you choose what brand to get. If you have a lot more money, you go buy the top brand Samsung or the Apple. If you don't have too much money, maybe you for Oppo, whatever else the level. These are the choice that you made. These are the job that we do, injecting this small information every day to the consumers to be able to choose you. Toothpaste. Why you buy Colgate, not Close Up? You know, soap. Why do you buy whatever shampoo, Rexona or not whatever, all those more expensive ones? It depends. Everybody has got a choice. So our role is to provide a choice to the consumer, a choice in terms of preference, because there are a lot of products that are the same, you know, basically. Okay. So if you notice the top logo, the Rifaie, Chua, Sethi, and the Suruh Reka Negara. In 2015, my partner Asri and I registered Reka Negara. This is our contribution back to the community. This is like it's not an NGO. It's just a brand that we registered. We're not a company. We're not even a registered NGO, but it's just where we bring all our friends, the expert within the industries, to share their knowledge with students, with the industry, with designers, because a lot of people who study design, who study advertising, got no jobs out there, doing their own business, struggling, don't know how to do business. So we give talk with our people, with our friends who do it for free. These sessions, you know, these are posters of our talks, you see. The latest was the bottom ones. The bottom ones. These are last year. These are all online because of, you know what. These are all personally, because when we do this we did this at Segaris, which is the art gallery belongs to UITM. We have friends there as well to be able to give us the space free. So we give talk there. You know, we invite our friends like this. A lot of people, a lot of high-profile people, the chief designer of Proton and all those kind of guys who are within a community. They gave their time for free to be able to share this kind of thing. We are not active right now because of same reason. We will try to be active again. You know, this every time we have this kind of thing, we can share and then people can understand the industry perspective of design and creative industry. And this is our academic series. Other than to the public, we travel to all universities. This was Taylor's how many years ago? I'm not sure. So we gave all UPM, all the universities. They all invited us. All we need to do is just, if they are outstation, they give us a room, so we stay overnight, and that's it. And the rest we give for free, basically. So this is our contribution. We call it Reka Negara. If you come to Rifaie, Chua, Sethi, there's a company, we charge you. If you come to Reka Negara, free only for government bodies and universities. Any companies, they saw Reka Negara, they want to go right on us, they say, because no, you're a company, you pay for it, basically. So it's as simple as that. Okay. Okay, so now back to the topic. Why I had to go through that is because of, you know, of the experiences that we have. Don't worry about how old they are, but they are very much relevant, you know, because at the end of the day, the thinking, the process of thinking is similar. The elements you put in the thinking has changed based on today, basically. But the process of the thinking is always similar. Okay? So it hasn't changed that much. Okay. Okay, I already mentioned we covered 3 different decades, what have changed and what have not. This is a very brief. Rapid development in new media. You all know that. You were born in the digital era, most of you. Most of you are 21 years old, 20 years old. Yeah? Okay, you are very young generation. Okay. So, and then brands constantly seek ways to engage with the consumers beyond mere awareness. Okay, in my years, in the first 20 years of my career, all we do is awareness. We do advertising, we pay a lot of money. Yeah, it's easy to advertise. We go into radio, we go into TV, that's it. And then we can sell millions. Now, it's all been disrupted because of the new media and the digital, you know. So why the brands do that is to continuously win the hearts and minds of the consumer, to maintain the brand values, identity, and strengthen the brand central idea. I would like to talk about the brand central idea here. Some people call it positioning, some call it the brand idea. So each brand should have this, must have this. All global brands has this. I'll show you an example. For example, Nike. I've got opportunity to work with Nike in the late 2000. Okay. What is the Nike? The product is just athletic shoes. What is the brand central idea? Unbridled pursuit of passion. Why they are feeding into the consumer motivation of desire to be a man to be limitless. What does these two mean? These are brand. This is product. You take any other shoes, Adidas also, they are the same. This is product. Like I said, if you take toothpaste, this is product. But this one, Colgate will say something else. Sensodyne will say something else, because there's a point of difference. At the end of the day, inside the tube, the same white thing, white paste, basically. So this one, these two lead to just do it. Unbridled pursuit of passion. In advertising terms, they say just do it, basically. So what does it mean by just do it? A desire of a man to be limitless. Like for me, a 60-something-year-old man, you know, today if I can walk 2 kilometers, tomorrow I walk 3 kilometers, that's just do it for me. There's unbridled pursuit passion. That means I have a desire to do better, to do more. But to Usain Bolt, it's not about winning alone. It's about breaking records. There's another level there. You know, he has been breaking records. I mean, to him, to win gold medal, no problem. But to win gold medal, to break and the record, that's another thing. So these are the kind of mindset, we call it mindset to the consumers of the Nike target audience. You know, basically, if you talk about this mindset, then you talk to young people, to talk to a young girl or young boy, an old man, whatever, it's the same. So we cross borders in terms of demographics, trying to identify your target audience and demographics. 30 years old, owning a car, got family, child, not that anymore. You know, if you do that, then 20-year-old, you have to have one set of communication. 30-year-old, you have to another set of communication. 50-year-old, you have to another set of communication. But if you target a mindset like this one, then you don't have to worry about, you know, doing so many communication, basically. Same thing. I had opportunity to work with Levi's, 18 years in 2 different companies. Lucky enough, we had a very good relationship. Client followed me to my next agency when I move over. That also, we built the brand from nothing to where it is now in the country. You know, that kind of thing in terms of, but we target a mindset of an 18-year-old. So that hasn't changed. The brand doesn't follow the consumer. Meaning, if you were an 18 years old, 2 years ago, we're targeting you. Now you're 20, we don't change because we stick to the 18-year-old. You move on, but you will never forget us. I have moved on, but I'm still wearing Levi's now. My only pair of jeans is Levi's, basically. You know, when I was working, I got it for free lah. Now I have to buy. I still buy Levi's, basically, even though I don't work for it anymore. But that's the kind of affinity you have with the brand, basically. Yeah. Okay, and then this is another sample. Okay, I've got the opportunity to work with all of them except Apple, because why Apple, you know, Apple is still new lah. You know, when I was working, I was promoting Nokia. Nokia was the #1 phone in the world last time until Apple killed it because of the new smartphones. Coca-Cola is always about joy and happiness. You know, to put it crudely, like if you take sugar, of course you'll be happy, like, you know, basically. So we're not supposed to say that, like, you know, previously, but that's basically it. If you see any Coke ad, you have to see people smiling, jumping, happy. You know, even the Coke shot itself is like splashing, bubbles, you know, condensation, all those things. It's not flat like a kopi O. You know, coffee or ice, whatever. It is always that, you know. Simplicity for Apple. The product is so simple. Apple is the first product we have to have one button. last time. During our days, you want to play music, we press play. You want to rewind, there's a rewind button. You want to forward, there's a forward button. You want to stop, there's a pause button. 4 buttons to do everything, every button to do every function. When it comes to Apple, it's only 1 button. And then you just be left and right and those kind. So that's kind of simplicity. Even the app is so simple. You see on the highway right now, you know, like shot by Apple on Apple something like that. You know, it's just showing a camera. What is so great about that camera versus any other camera? If you own a Samsung, you always say a Samsung camera is better than Apple. If you own an Apple, you always say Samsung Apple camera is better. You know, mine is 50 MP, yours is 12 MP. There's all crap. It's a photographer. It's got nothing to do with the camera, basically. You know, you can shoot good photos. Any crap camera also will turn out good, basically. You know, mine is Huawei because my lens is, you know, whatever kind of thing. So it's not that. You know? Levi's, American original. You know, quality never goes out of style. American original. So it's that they've been like this forever. But how they communicate, they say it differently. They say it, you know, in a way that will connect with you, that resonate with you through the years. You know, they always target to the young people, but the young people keep growing. The new one phase in and phase in. That's how they maintain the market, you know, basically. Even though Coke is going down now because of the health consciousness of the entire global population. This one, point of difference. Why is different between Mercedes and BMW? They're all German. They're both German. The price is the same. Basically that, you know, it's based on preference, basically. You know, like that. During my days in the early 90s, it's very clear cut. BMW is a Malay car. Mercedes is a Chinese car. Now, not anymore. I don't know why, but that was it. You know, yeah, I worked on cars before Honda and all the thing. It just in the early 90s, the Chinese target, they start off with a Honda Civic, and then they graduate into Honda Accord. Basically, Camry not there yet, and then Mercedes C-Class, and then Mercedes E-Class, and then Mercedes S-Class. That's the structure of the consumer perception with the brand, basically. So now it's not anymore. But at the end of the day, you know, if you get any of these cars, it's a good premium car already, basically. What's the difference between these two? Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Can anybody answer?
The colors.
Yeah, correct. Exactly. The colors. Inside, the same black water. If you love Pepsi, you will say Coca-Cola tastes like medicine. If you love Coke, you will say the same thing about Pepsi. Basically, that's it. You know, yeah. So, is that the brand that makes the point of difference? Even the shoes. If you take the 3 stripes and swap it with the swash, nobody can tell the difference. These phones as well, yeah. The top range of Samsung and also the Apple, yeah. Depends. If you own a Samsung, you say this is the better one. If you own Apple, it's the better one. If you cannot afford, you say all both lousy. Basically, as simple as that. Okay. Any questions?
Any questions at this point, everyone?
No, sir. All
Okay.
good.
Okay. So I was just trying to give a perspective in terms of what is the core platform that the brand stays the way they are to be able to do that. You know, a brief. What we're going to talk about a good brief is to come up with an ad, but it doesn't have to be, you know, what do you call it, a total campaign, because each brand will have to address certain issues all the time, because most of the time through the years, they will have some problems. Some problems are good problems, some problems are bad problems. Both of them you have to be addressed. Even when you're at the top, how do you stay at the top? Basically, like Coke, it has always been the number one soft drink in the world. How do they stay at the top? Do we stop advertising? Does it work? Those are the kind of things that have to be measured and to be take into consideration with what kind of strategy we should take, basically. Now, I mean, since the topic is about effective communication advertising, translating a good creative brief, is basically translating a brand central idea. I said, if a product doesn't have a brand central idea, then work with your client to get the brand central idea. In terms of, but not some, most of local clients, they don't realize that their brand has got a central idea, because if they have a market, they have to mean something to their consumers. So that's what you need to find out. Sometimes not all clients know what they're doing. Sorry to say that, so we will have to work together very closely. The thing about an agency, advertising agency, we work in partnership rather than, you're just a supplier. But lately, a lot of people with that kind of attitude. So try not to be able to give in to the kind of attitude, because at the end of the day, you are a professional. You are supposed to be the experts in this area to be able to advise them. The last time why we were hired by the client is because we are the expert in this area to be able to do. Client will focus on their business, selling their products, but we are supposed to change the mindset of the consumers, strengthen the brand values in the consumer's mind, strengthen the brand preference in the consumer's mind, basically that, and try to kill the competition, basically. Yeah. Okay. In simple terms, in a creative brief, you should have this sounds very simple, okay? But I'm going to share with you my last agency, our creative brief, how we brief. Because my last not my last agency, my second last agency. My last agency was Publicis. Before that, I was running Bates Malaysia. In Bates Malaysia, when I came in, they don't have a what do you call it? A strategic tool just yet. Proprietary tool, they call it, But I came from McCann Erickson and also from JWT, which has got a very strong tool to be able to come up with a creative brief and a very good ad globally, because it was done at a global level. So what we did was, the three of us, since we came from different agencies, we merged all them together, which will fit into our consumer. So there are a few great proprietary tools that we put together that I'm going to share with you. Basically, these things don't change, but they may rephrase in a lot of times, So at this stage, I would like you to throw in some examples you want to be able to discuss together, rather than me just trying to explain, because it's very difficult to explain in terms of how this thing works, because this is the thinking process. Thinking has to be practiced. Number one is background. People also say background is easy, objective. The simple objective is to increase sales. Which product doesn't want to increase sales? That's a silly objective. At the end of the day, there will be a certain situation a product will be in, basically. Like Coca-Cola, we face a lot of situations. Back in the days when you were born, in 1997, during the recession, that's when, okay, what people don't know is soft drinks is considered luxury, because to pay almost 2 ringgit for a soft drink, it is luxury. So when there is a recession, that's what people stop buying. During the 1997 recession, the soft drink market dropped by 19%, 19%. That's huge, millions and millions of dollars. So what Coke did was, the first thing product did then, they learned it in the year in the new millennium, was to stop advertising, because advertising those days advertising budget were in the millions of dollars. In 1996, my Coca-Cola budget was 30 million ringgit. Okay, that's huge. I don't think they spend that. They spend 3 million now. There's no advertising. In fact, I don't see any. Okay. So they stopped advertising because they want to save money. So what Coke did was that we already committed this budget. Let's go for it, but find the right message in this right time to target to the consumers so that they don't stop buying us. They can stop buying other people, but they don't stop buying us. So that's exactly what we did. So this is the kind of brief that we go through. So when we talk about, okay, I will go through the background using that as an example. Yeah, afterwards. And then we talk about the target consumers. Again, the target consumers, we're not talking about demographic, we're talking about the mindset. And then the role of the brand. What does the role of brand in terms of what can the brand do to be able to solve that kind of problem? Okay, and then the big idea. Okay, so let's go through the question. I can share this with your lecturer, Ms. Yun, and then after that, you can share this among yourself. Maybe it's slightly difficult to take notes. Okay, let me check. Okay. Oh no, sometimes. Okay, the background. The question that we asked, there are two questions. What are the key aspects of the current business or competitive environment within the industry that are relevant to this brief? Okay, I mentioned Coke just now. The industry is in a downward trend because of recession. So so that is what you need to write in the brief, because the creative people need to know that this is the kind of thing that you do. It doesn't have to be one line. It could be a 2-3 paragraph. It doesn't matter. It's their job to read. It's their job to understand, to be able to know. What is the competitive environment within the industry? Competitive environment at those days, everybody is affected, but the industry is downturn. It's going down. Sales gone down by 19%. What is the business problem we expect the communication to address? To stop this downturn for the Coke brand, for example. So that's what, that is the objective. Not to increase sales. Yeah, to increase sales, but to stop the downward turn of the sales dipping, whatever you may call it. Basically, it's like that. And then the next question is the consumers. Who is the intended recipient of this communication in terms of mindset? That means that creatures of habit, stimulation seekers, achievers, losers, loners, those kind of things. You categorize them like that, For people who desire pursuit of passion, for example, those kind of things, who motivate them, who motivators, basically. Is that? Try to think in terms of mindset rather than 18-year-old who likes music. Which 18-year-old doesn't like music? Basically, if you say 18-year-old who like rap music, okay, and then jazz music, you have to do another combination, is it? And then pop music, you have to do another one, is it? So no, is that basically we're talking to a group of people that you can go beyond the demographic definition, So what desire or concern of this mindset can be best capitalized by our brand, and why? Because they're looking for example, right now, let's say if any other product right now, during now, is that what you want to sell to current mindset is what you have to talk to people who easily adapt to the new normal, for example. These are the people who adapt fast to the new normal, not complain. So we don't want to talk to people who complain, basically, because these people who complain, they don't want to think. They always want to blame some other people. But the people who adapt very fast, they are people who have positive attitude, who have a certain drive to be able to do things. So these are the kind of mindset that we talk about. Then you talk to these people. These are people who are willing to receive good things, positive things that you say about. So when you talk to these people, you talk about positive things. If you talk to the negative people, you talk any positive also, they always look at it negatively. So don't talk to them, basically. So that's what I meant, you know. So what desire or concern or mindset can be best capitalized by our brand? So find the good things in our brand, especially within the brand idea. What can we do? Basically, you know. Yeah. For example, like Nike just now. Somebody just want to buy, and then they start creating this air thing, that your cushion, so that you can color by 0.02 seconds faster than everybody else. Oh, that's very scientific. People buy into it. So why is it? So those are the kind of things that people create. Sometimes in the shampoo, they all look the same. Probably they came from the same factory. Only the liquid color looks different, and then the packaging is different. But some people will add now with ZPT lah, with all those 0 point or whatever, all those formula that came in to make a point of difference, to be able to address a certain issue, to move on. Then the role of the brand. What does the current consumer think of the brand? That is very important. You have to be very truthful here. If they don't like you, better say that they don't like you. So if they don't like you as a brand, you still have to communicate with them because they got no choice. But how do you communicate with people who doesn't like you? Like a person. You find some friends who love you, so you don't have to talk anything. Anything you say, they also really believe you. You find people who doesn't like you, then you have to very nicely, if you go slightly very rough, you start fighting. You go too soft, he will eat you up. So what do? Basically. So that is the kind of thing that you have to think. Always, when you talk about branding, think about the consumer first. Don't think about the brand. Brand will never change. Consumer changes. Remember that. Like I said, Coke will always be happiness, whatever. But you cannot make a sad Coke ad. You make it for fun, yes. Because at the end of the day, people laugh and people happy. So it's okay. Those kind of thing. Think about the consumer. Your role in this industry, you should be a king of people who understand consumers. Full stop. If you understand consumers, you can work with any brands. I always find clients, especially local clients, asking, I go for a pitch for a car. Oh, have you worked with a car brand before? Just trying to find out whether I know the industry or not. Our answer is, if I work with another car, if I were you, I wouldn't hire me. Because all the good ideas I've already used. Okay. Why do I need a second-hand idea to be able to give? Basically, but that's being rude, basically. But no. But the point is, I may have not worked on a car, but I understand the consumers. The guy who buys an iPhone, a phone, a guy who buys a computer, a guy who buys a house, is also a guy who will buy a car. If I understand that guy, that means I'm better than anybody else. You understand what I'm saying? You are 20-year-old guys, whatever. If I can sell you a pair of jeans, doesn't matter what brand, Calvin Klein or Levi's or whatever, I can also sell you a phone, whether Samsung or Oppo or Apple. I can also sell you a laptop. I can also sell you a sneakers, whether Nike or. My point is, when you talk about one thing I would like to share with how Levi's look at the target audience is that this was in the 90s, is that we look at the share of pocket. They call it share of pocket. If you, a 20-year-old now, have 200 ringgit in your pocket, me, as an advertiser, I have got to convince you to spend that 200 ringgit on me. Whether you buy a pair of jeans or sneakers, or take your girlfriend to a very expensive dinner, or I don't know, or go for a 20 times movie. That's the kind of choice that you have. with the share of pocket that you have in the 200 ringgit. So we have to understand that. When we understand that, we understand you as a consumer. How do I convince you? What are the kind of person you are to be able to me to sell, for me to be able to convince you to spend your 200 ringgit on me and not on somebody else. So that is the most important part of being an advertising person. Understanding consumers. It's not so much the brand just yet. Yes, the brand you have to understand because it's the industry. The brand you understand, the industry, not the brand alone. Okay, when during our Levi's days, we don't compete with the other brands because Levi's is very expensive. Those days, Levi's were 100 something, 200 something. Other brand were selling 90 ringgit, 80 ringgit only. Okay, Levi's is almost double the cost. So we don't compete with those people because we're already up there. So we compete with Sony Walkman. I don't know whether you heard of Sony Walkman or not. Sony Walkman was a cassette. You put cassette, you press button and you play. It's like this. Yeah. And then they upgrade to Discman, into a disc. Then only now you have all those the MPEG or JPEG, whatever you call it. The M3, M4, all those technology digital. Now everything is soft. Those days, yeah, is that because Sony Walkman cost 200 ringgit also. Those things. Nike cost 100 something ringgit also. Levi's also cost 100 ringgit. And 18-year-old, so that's what we're struggling. Not struggling with. That's what we are fighting for, trying to get them to buy the jeans. You know, to be able to compete with what they have in their pocket. Okay. So, what do we want the consumer to think of the brand at the end of the communication? Okay. If you want them to think that we are a cool brand, so make your ad look cool. Don't say that you're cool. Once you say you're cool, you're not cool. The good guy won't say, I'm a good guy. Okay, if somebody, girls advise you when a guy comes and tell you that he's a good guy, don't trust him. Basically, you know. Why should they believe us? That's the most important thing. That is what the brand has to deliver. If you know your brand, you don't claim something that you cannot deliver. You understand what I'm saying or not? Sometimes it's not the product, it could be the service. Yeah. They say, oh, you come and visit us, we are the friendliest and then suddenly you go there, they're not even Malaysian. They can't even speak English or Malay. They can't greet you, for example. Yeah. So the behavior in the brand is also important because it's part of service. And when you say they're very good service, and then suddenly you go there, you're very rude. What happened? It kills the brand. That is also a restaurant, basically. I had one experience years ago when I went for a seminar. I was put into one of the 5-star hotel in Port Dickson. They claim, oh, 5-star, good service. When I walked in, none of the front desks are locals. They can't speak English well, and they can't even speak Malay, and they can't even speak Chinese, basically. You know, so how can a 5-star hotel claim something like that? You know, I have experience. I went to India. I went to Mumbai, check into the one of 5-star hotel, the one top hotel there. Standing at the door, this huge man. I'm 6 feet. Okay, I'm a 6-footer, and that guy is like 6'2". He's taller than me, dressed in an Indian Maharaja. Good morning, sir. He invited. When I arrived from my taxi, that's how they invite. That's the Taj Hotel, okay, the one that got bombed. I went there before it got bombed. That's how a 5-star, man. Because when you walk there, you know that's India. The Maharaja is greeting you. So that's the kind of brand, the service, which is translated into the behavior of the brand. Remember, the brand is also a behavior. You know, it's not only the product, it's not only the image. The image come from the behavior, the identity and the image. But do you know what the difference between identity and image? You build an identity. Identity is something you craft, like a behavior, a dressing, like the Maharaja greeted me at the lobby, basically. There's an identity. With that kind of identity, I got a very good image of the hotel. Oh, this is India. This is the Taj, basically. You know what I'm saying? So this is how our role, because we mold the mindset of the consumer. Not manipulate, we mold. We're not cheating, because this is where we have to have facts to be able to back us up. If you claim something we're not, that means client won't believe you, basically. And then after all those three answers, if everything we know about all whatever explained just now, in one sentence, what would it be? Okay. This is the most difficult part, because this is the one that will become the tagline or the headline of the ad, basically. I mentioned about Coca-Cola just now, in 1997. Okay, what are the key business? 19% drop. So we're targeting to the younger people. Younger people, that means these people just finished school, they're going to college. Normally the parents are very rich. In the 90s, we are very rich, because that's when our economy shot up like crazy. When the economy collapsed, a lot of people lose their jobs. Just like what happening right now, students, the parents cannot afford to buy them a car to go to college anymore, the kind of thing. So they're struggling on their own, those kind of things. So these are the kind of mindset, a very negative downer, basically. So what the brand could do, at the end of the day, what can a soft drink do? And then we remember, in the US in the 1920s, Coke, they positioned it as the brand that refreshes. So we said, relax, take a break, and start again. Drink Coca-Cola, for example. When you relax, you drink, you relax. When you're tired or when you're stressed, sometimes you take a very cold drink or Coca-Cola. Then you feel, that split second gives you the pause that refreshes. That was the line of the ad. Pause that refreshes. You're stressed. I know everybody is stressed, basically. Just like right now. During the 1997, everybody was affected. Just like right now. So what you need to do? You still have to continue, but you get tired if you continue non-stop. But what we tell them is, take a break. Have a Coke, and start again. True enough, it worked. And then that campaign became one of the most successful local campaign in the world. So it is the case study is in the archives of the Coca-Cola Atlanta, because when the industry dropped by 19%, all the 19% was captured by Coke. Coke drop was zero. So Coke make money those days when people lose 19% of their money, basically. So that's how a brief was done. And I was fortunate enough, lucky enough to be able to have the opportunity to work on that brand those days, together with the client, with certain research in terms of to find the consumer sentiment, those things. These are the kind of things that you do. Research to find the consumer. Don't research about the brand. The big brand like Coke, you don't need research anymore. People think about you, whatever. We already know what people think about you. But unless the brand is new, then you research about the brand. But the more important thing is to search about the consumer wanting to buy the category of the brand. Then you find a window in terms of, this one people don't talk yet, that kind of thing. Then you can go. Because you want to find a brand, a central idea. Ideas are very limited. but how you interpret them is different. You cannot find a totally different idea which nobody has used before. No, everybody has used the idea, but how does the idea resonate with your consumer? How does the idea relate to the problem that your consumer has? That will sell better. Simple as that. Okay. So that's my brief. Any questions or any example that you want to share to be able to work on these things through? I mean, that's all I have to share. Unless you want to understand further a bit about central idea, you want me to continue on that? I can share. I can show you a video to show and add some. Let me go there. Okay, this is the one. Yeah. Yes.
Can.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want me to continue?
Yes, please, sir. I think that the video you mentioned would
Okay.
clear some thoughts.
Okay. Okay. So this, I mean, before that, this is the power of the brand. Okay, you look at this, you know what they are, right? Without having to, except for Adidas lah, because they have their name out there. But you know, look at this, you know that, because these are icons. These are brand icons. These kind of brands are already established. You don't have to do much. They already have what they stand for. And but the problem is when we start briefing, then you know in terms of how yeah. But so I mean, let me show. Okay, this one. If Coke loses all its assets, plant, building, and machinery, etc., in a fire tomorrow, they will still be in business. But if tomorrow all of the consumers on the earth wake up and forget the name Coke, they will go bankrupt. That's the power of the brand. Simple as that. You know. So if you say, remember, oh, what's Coke? You know, those kind of things. It's like right now I tell you, I got a new cola brand, Shukri. Will you buy? You don't even know me. Who the hell is Shukri? That's what I meant. You know, so that's about the brand. Okay, brand is the most fundamental emotional imprint of a product in the consumer's mind. I have to repeat this because this is got through with the brief. You have to understand what brand is. It's not so much of the product. It's what the consumer think of it, especially at emotional level. You know, if you touch the heart, they won't give you. If you touch the head, somebody else can and buy off the head, are gone. You can do. Okay, so this is one. Okay, for example, a car. A car, what is the difference with a car? They got one steering wheel, 4 or 5 seats, 4 wheels, will take you from A to B. Why do I have to pay $500,000 for a Jaguar compared to 50,000 for a Prodo? Exactly. At the end of the day, technology is one thing. Image is another thing. Because if you compare Jaguar with Mercedes or with BMW or Jaguar with Land Rover, then the image comes into play, basically. You know, so that kind of thing. These are brands. Okay. I'll give you one example in terms of how you communicate. This is an ad, a TV commercial, which is like 20 years old. But I just want to demonstrate to you in terms of how the idea, the communication that sells, that relate to the consumer. Okay, let me play. Yo, can you hear?
The sound can't really be heard, Shukri.
Okay, ignore the, you know, it was supposed to be tongue in cheek, an alligator won't appear in New York. But the point is, You see, they're selling a new Land Rover at that time, Freelander, the smaller version of Land Rover. Okay, a Land Rover is a four-wheel drive. Think of a four-wheel drive ad that you've seen recently, especially in Malaysia. It will go up the hill, down the hill, into the water, in the jungle, out in the desert, and then the driver come out smiling. Okay, tell me which four-wheel drive cannot do that? You see, all our ads is doing the obvious. Does it sell? Yeah, my four-wheel drive can do that. I'm driving at 70. I used to drive a Land Rover also. I used to, they all can do the same thing. But this ad, what they're trying to say is, this is what I meant in terms of understanding your consumer. Okay, this guy with this tongue-in-cheek kind of ad, it shows he's not a tough guy. He's just a small, tiny guy. They can song, but he's an adventurous guy. He's the type who will go outdoor, that he can wrestle alligator, those kind of things. So this is the kind of people that we want to sell Freelander to, the new Land Rover, without showing the Land Rover going to the jungle, capturing the alligator. But this is, you understand what I'm saying? The whole idea is that, have you been anywhere interesting lately? That kind of thing. So only an adventurous guy. So at the end of the day, the mindset of the consumer is an adventurous guy. You understand what I'm saying? So these are the kind of things. This is an example because now people don't do this kind of ads anymore. But these are the kind of communication you translate into an ad to make it effective and that resonate with people. That kind of thing. Oh, I want to be something like that. Oh, it's just a nice car. It doesn't even have to say that, the car only comes out like 5 seconds at the end of the commercial, basically. Which you talk to our clients here, they talk, oh, where's my product? You want my product to appear from the beginning until the end, again, with the logo somewhere at the corner, again, that's the kind of client that you're going to face here. Good luck to you all. Okay.
Shukri, there's a question in the chat.
Yes.
So Irfan asked, was the big idea there in that ad been anywhere interesting lately? Was that the idea?
Okay. The big that is a result of the big idea, basically. I mean, there is a communication. There is a headline. I'll call it a headline, because even in the pre-ad, it is a headline. The big idea there is that the Land Rover is a four-wheel drive. A four-wheel drive belongs to a category of industry car which is adventurous, that can do a lot of things. Basically. So they're bringing this car into the city. 30 years ago, four-wheel drive are all into the off-roads. And then suddenly it became stylish to become a city car, basically. So, and yet, when they come up with a smaller version, it's basically to make it a city car. Okay, that's what I understand. Okay, before Land Rover is bigger, city car. But without losing the big idea of a four-wheel drive as an adventurous, tough, good-looking car. That's the big idea.
I see, sir.
Adventurous idea. So how do you sell that into a modern? You understand what you're saying, sir? So
yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So it's basically that. But I don't know what the phrase of the big idea is, because I didn't work on the account. But that's our analogy, our analysis of this kind of communication. Land Rover. Now Land Rover becomes a prestige premium car already, because all four-wheel drive are already accepted as a family modern car, city car. Not most of people driving in KL now, they don't even engage a four-wheel drive anymore. But previously four-wheel drive was supposed to be an off-road car. So for an off-road car to come into the city, this is the kind of thing. The imagery, the mindset of the consumer is still there. You may be adventurous, but you can still stay in the city. Those kind of things. You get in terms of what they're trying to. That's what I meant. Is to me personally, I think that quite a brilliant ad in terms of demonstrating what the brand is all about, basically, with a car as small as that, you know. So I have one more commercial. This one is I'll talk about the Nike. This is 25 years ago. You see, they are all great athletes lah. Those are the 25 years ago. They are all Olympians and kind of thing. They pay a lot of money for these guys, but they all have that motivation to do their best. That's what the big idea of Nike is: unbridled pursuit of passion. But in the consumer terms, it's just do it. Don't think, do it. Basically. So that's 25 years ago and it hasn't changed until today. You see, let me check in terms of how I have something or not. Okay, this one, for example, this ad was in US, LeBron James. This one like 10-15 years ago. This is Nadal in the 2010 when he won the Grand Slam, and then he asking all his friends from the football to win the World Cup in 2010, which they won. And this is in London when he won the 15 Grand Slam in Wimbledon. And this is Ronaldo now. And this is the ad which my team came out in 2007 when Malaysia changes their jersey from Adidas to Nike. The thing is, we have an idea of how the brand stands for. Anywhere in the world, it's been done by different people, but it looks the same, basically. Even though I don't quite like the headline to be too bold like that. I mean, but again, the attitude of this guy, the idea of the ad is second skin. I mean, this was Ideal Zafran. He was one of the top footballer of Malaysia those days lah. Malaysia team jersey used to be Adidas, and then Nike took over, and then we had opportunity to work on it. So we have to follow the imageries of Nike anywhere in the world, US, Spain, London, Portugal, or worldwide, and Malaysia, they all have to look the same at the end of the day. So that's how global brands stay relevant with the consumers. You go anywhere in the world, people know it's Nike, basically. You know? The attitude. Okay, that's it. Any other questions?
There was a question just now about the Land Rover ad from Alvin.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
saying, can I advertise this car like some kind, like Transformer, because this is much more interesting? Alvin, I don't know if you want to turn on your mic and ask your question again, because it's not very clear, I think.
No problem. I would like to ask is like, because the Range Rover, right? Okay, because I was like watching the ad, right? I was like thinking the car seems is like big, right? Then it gave me an idea of like maybe we can advertise some kind of like transform, like some kind of like robot like that. Maybe the car can turn over into like robot, and then some kind
Okay.
of like a little bit
Very good question. Interesting perspective. You come up with a robot idea. Are you one of Transformer kind of favorite people? Fan of those kind of things?
Yeah.
Huh?
I'm quite not a huge fan now, but at least light transformer.
Okay. Okay. No, what my point is, when you come up with an idea, you're coming out with an execution of an idea. Okay. An execution, just now using an alligator in the city is an execution idea. Just like how you want the car to transform into a transformer is an execution idea. Execution idea must be born from the brand idea. Okay. Does transformer relate to adventure? That's what I meant.
Transformer.
Yang saying sama. Because Land Rover is an adventurous car, it's a four-wheel drive that goes off-road, goes in the jungle, in the desert, those kind of things. That is what people would think of every time people would think about the four-wheel drive car. Okay, four-wheel drive car can do all those kind of things which a normal car cannot do, basically. So that's how the ad comes out. If you take, if I'm the client, you come up with me and the kind of idea, I tend to disagree because it does not resonate with the consumer who thinks that a four-wheel drive is an off-road car. Because transformer robot doesn't give me that perspective that it is adventurous. It could be a technology thing. It could be a modern technology robotic if the car stands for that. Yeah, saying if the car stands for something drive on its own with the new kind of technology, you know, can be folded or then the idea works. Find an idea which link very strongly. Find a communication idea. That is a communication idea where it links very strongly with the brand idea, with what the brand stands for. Land Rover doesn't stand for robot. That's what I'm saying. You get me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Laken.
Other questions do we have?
Hi, sir. Good morning. My name is Leah. I have a question. What would be your advice for when writing a creative brief for a new brand from scratch? What would be your first advice, your first step?
A new brand, when you want to
Yeah.
launch a new product, whatever, is it? Okay.
Yeah, a brand from scratch. Yeah.
A brand from scratch. The thing is, find out what brand. The brand is what product. Okay. The product, I'm sure you will have a category industry, right? Okay. So go back to my first questions. Okay. What is the industry of the brand, of the product? Yeah. What is the current business environment of that category of your product? Let's say you want to launch, give me example of a product that your brand is in.
Okay, I will actually assign for an assignment by Miss Chu.
Okay.
We're coming up with a tea bag brand. Yeah.
Okay, tea bag brand. Okay, tea bag is a drink, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the industry is drink. Okay, so industry drink is so big. There's alcoholic drink, there's soft drinks, there's hot drinks, whatever. So now it's easier. Then you break down, you get smaller. Forget alcoholic drink because that's not your target. Forget carbonated soft drink because those are the chill ones. So let's focus on tea bags, which is your competition would be people like instant coffee, including mama, because that's where you get teh tarik. You say no. So it's either I have coffee at home or I go out with my friends to go have mama. You saying no. So that's the kind of mindset. So if you want to come up with a brand like that, okay. So now you're asking me to help you on doing your assignment. Okay. So study the category, the industry. Where does the industry, I mean, where does the tea bags, is it the loose tea more important or the tea bags? So if you want to compete within the tea market alone, there's two. There's one tea bag and loose tea. Okay, another one is mama. Okay, you don't have to make. Somebody will make for you. All you need to do is pay. So you think always relate to the consumers first. The product. Once you do that, then you find a niche in terms of what are the kind of things that the current brand is not doing or not taking the opportunity. Then you create your brand which is within that niche. To find something niche. Doesn't have to be the problem with us, especially local brands, is that when they see the competition can do this, I also can do that. I can do that better. That's why if you go to find a stall, especially a Malay stall, you find one nasi lemak, famous nasi lemak panas, and then you find 10 more nasi lemak by the side. You say not? Because they say mine is lagi panas. No, lagi panas. Lama-lama those things. But that's not a healthy competition. Because if you're smart, this is nasi lemak, I sell you teh tarik sebelah. You can after you bring nasi lemak, you can have my teh tarik with me. And then you have kway teow here if you don't want nasi lemak. That's how you do things. Basically, if you find a stall, if your competition, a stall within one route. So in this context, you look at it in terms of, if you want to focus, you focus into tea lovers, where they drink tea and not coffee. It's like it's always like that. To me, it's always like that. If someone loves coffee, they don't like tea. If someone loves tea, they don't like coffee. Basically like that. So sometimes you can find a niche which you can convince a coffee lover to drink tea, to drink your tea. That could be a better communication if it works, if it is strong enough. So you study the industry, study the business environment, okay, industry and business environment, and then find probably it's not a problem. Find what your brand can stand out within the industry, and then you talk about the consumer. Okay, so the recipient, the consumer. You're talking about people who like to stay home. Maybe these people like to be not loners. This is very negative. But at the end of the day, achievers. Maybe they stay on their own. They like to look at things. They do a lot of research. They play. They go on the computer, seeking knowledge. So that's why they need drink, something like that. Those kind of things. Have to be people like motivated kind of people. Those things like, it doesn't have to be in the exact words. So you merge the consumer and what the brand has to offer, basically. And then if these are the people who don't have time, for example, if they don't have time because they're busy doing their work, that kind of thing, but they need something nice and strong and that will calm them down, all those things. Find the traits, what tea can do for you. Some tea, especially the Chinese tea, the different floral, the one can calm you down, that one can make you sleep, that one can make you awake, that one can make you this. Find those things. Those are the traits which has got a lot to do with the consumers, which the product is offering. It's not so much about the product alone. So you find something there so that your tea bag have some elements of what? Love, for example. But don't make your tea bag becomes a cupid lah. So,
Thank you, sir.
so you understand what I'm saying,
Yes,
so it starts from there. If it is a new brand, then it's create your own brand idea. That's what I'm saying.
Noted.
And once you have once you have a brand idea, it's an anchor for you to be able to communicate a lot of things from the brand idea. If for example, if the tea is for refreshing, then every communication is about refreshment. There's a lot of ways to do ads about refreshment. Funny way, loving way, emotional way, a lot of ways, but it can still be refreshing. It doesn't mean that, That's what a brand idea means. Any other questions? Is that clear?
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
This was when you were talking about how brand and how it leaves an emotional imprint. You mentioned something about molding, and then you clarified how it's not. What's that word? It starts with a D. It's not. Sorry.
Molding but not influence. Is it? But
Yeah,
not,
molding, but not. I, it's the tip of my tongue.
I did say something, but I forgot as well.
Yes, manipulating. Yes, yes.
Not manipulating. Yeah, okay. Because
it's not a D, it's an M.
that's the danger. When you manipulate, you twist and turn the truth. This is when, I'm been along in advertising, and advertising is very negative in the point that people say you are cheating people, the kind of thing. I don't believe in that, because I believe the brands that I work with, I always have something which I sell that I can support for them to believe us, basically. Especially Coca-Cola, basically, because people will say, oh, can you sell sugar, whatever, but I'm not. I'm giving a choice. I'm not forcing you. I'm not telling you this is the best drink that you can have. But if you want to have a soft drink, because Coke is not the only one who's selling sugar, there's a lot of other brands. There's a lot of orange flavor, grape flavor, whatever other flavors, which is as much sugar or more. But what I'm saying, instead of you choosing them, you choose me. And to support that, I have facts in terms of whatever Coke can do, because I stand for joy and happiness and those kind of things. So other people who cannot compete with us, for example, like Pepsi, they sponsor all the movie stars. Now I saw Blackpink is selling Pepsi. No, I can say no, whatever, no. Yeah, fine. Yeah, if it convince you, good for you. If it doesn't. But the point is, manipulating is twisting the truth. In terms of, if your car, for example, if your car is not that high technology or up-to-date, futuristic, then you cannot do a transformer ad. I'm advising the other guy. Because there's no credibility. That's manipulating the truth, for example.
So it's like false advertising?
Yeah, false advertising. Don't fall into that trap. This is a very subjective matter. It's a very sensitive part. Because when I first started, our advertising code of ethics are very strict. Now it's not. It's too open, and everybody is doing all the crap things, which I don't quite like, basically. Don't do false advertising. Claim something which is positive, that the consumer can relate to, that is part of their life, basically. But like toothpaste, they always use dentists. You can find the guy in a white robe. Nowadays, there's no more dentists using white robe, but still you can find them using white robe, selling, oh, this is good because of got fluoride. And well, we believe them. Fine, good for them. But they don't con in terms of trying to make. Last time there was like whiter than white. Where is such a thing, whiter than white? There's no even language whiter than white. So yeah, that becomes an issue. So that there is always something positive or something good that you can talk about and use it in a creative way. You see, no? So like the car just now, it's about adventures. They do it in a tongue-in-cheek, humor way in terms of how to sell things. If you got access into sort of a range of ads from Thailand, or they got very quirky, kind of funny, and sometimes it got nothing to do with the brand, but just small of the brand, but they make it so funny and so crazy funny and stupid funny, but it's still funny. and you will like it. Basically, that's the style of ads in Thailand. Basically, those things.
Are there any other
Thank you,
questions?
sir.
Yeah. No.
Any other questions? We still got time.
Yeah.
No more
that's what-
questions?
Okay, back to the central idea, just to remind you, behind every successful brand, there is a central idea or a big idea or a USP or unique selling proposition. Whatever they call it, I mean, everybody will have the different way of calling, but it's the same. It's a driving unifying force behind a brand marketing effort in establishing identity. Have the idea. Advice to to come up with a new brand, like a tea brand just now. Find a brand central idea for your brand first, and then you start selling in terms of what it stands for, rather than you just sell something. If not, our client the last time when we did an ad for Coke and Levi's, their version is like when we present an ad to them, they say, okay, we take out that logo, we put a Pepsi logo. Does it work? If it works, then the ad fails. Even though the ad is nice, I don't want, because that does not look and feel like a Coke ad, even in Levi's. If I can put a Calvin Klein logo, or I put a Wrangler logo, or whatever logo, jeans logo, it worked, then it's not Levi's ad, basically. Because that's how detailed they are in terms of the kind of look the consumer have to interpret whatever that they see. Okay.
Right, Shukri, so I have a question.
Yep.
Like with regards to this unique selling proposition or big idea, whatever it is,
Yeah.
I've had students over the years, I've had people ask me like, oh, why can't it have two USPs? Why can't my product, why can't I emphasize, two different things or three different things? What is your thinking on
Okay.
that?
My analogy on that is that if I have 5 ping pong balls, I throw to you all the 5 at one time. How many can you catch? maybe one or two. If I throw you one by one, one single USP, it can be interpreted in so many ways, and people will remember you better than your split personality. I'm saying you have two USPs, like having two split personalities. What kind of person you are? You're an angry person, or you're a very sad person. I mean, which one are you? Those things. So you have to stick to one. That's how these brands stay there forever. Like Coke and Levi's and all other brands that I work with, Citibank and Nestle, those things, Nescafe, all those things that I work with, they all stick to what they stand for. And they have not changed. They change based on the times, but they don't change in terms of what they stand for. Basically, even us as a person also, sometimes if we are like conservatives and then suddenly somebody asks us to wear, like me, I don't like to wear shorts, and then somebody gave me a floral shorts to wear. I say, those kind of things. Even if I wear, people will look at me, oh, who are you? What's wrong with you? Those kind of things. It's similar because that's a human being. Okay, at the end of the day, we are dealing with humans' emotion, basically. So don't play with human emotion. If you have two USPs, that means you're confusing them. What are you trying to be about? Maybe the reason they said that is because you want to capture the different kind of people. No, you capture one side of people. It doesn't. People can always buy into it, even though their character is different. Because at the end of the day, they are consumers. They need to buy into certain things. If you're in that category, they will choose you based on what they can relate to. and what they believe in you, basically. Sometimes, yeah, it doesn't matter whether that guy is contradicting whatever. So my advice is that have only one unique. That's why I say unique. If you have two propositions, not unique.
A very good point. Thank you. That was a very good answer. I like the analogy of the ping pong balls. Now I know what to
Yeah.
tell them
Yeah.
if they ask
You
you that
throw,
again.
you throw one by one, because that's what ad is all about.
Mm.
You sell one communication at one time. You don't try to sell so many information at one time. Because if you sell so many information, let's say you have an ad, it looks like a novel, people don't read, right now. A billboard,
Right.
a rule of thumb for a billboard, they have to have only 4 words, because we only have 4 seconds to read. Some people use billboard because it's big and then they put like a leaflet. Who will read? If you notice, you go to KLIA, you should look up there. They are all logos only. It's a reminder. And they pay 200,000-300,000 ringgit for that a year, just to remind people. That's it. They don't have a message, strong message. It's just their tagline, Sony, something like that, sharp, whatever. Those things. Yeah. So is that depending on the kind of role, always understand the role of advertising. In billboard, is supposed to remind. Information is supposed to be in print ad, but now people don't have print ad anymore. But again, with the digital media, I don't know. It's so confusing.
Too many types, too many versions of banners and videos.
For Land Rover just now also, we cannot put in there, because after 5 seconds, people don't see the message.
Skip.
It's gone. Those things. Yeah, basically that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Any more questions? Last call. You can turn on your microphone and ask if that's faster, or you can type. Any more questions from the floor? Let's give them a second or two. Questions? All right. If there are no questions,
Yeah. They should get your tea bag for assignment well, okay?
yeah, they better. They got very useful tips here already on how to start. All right then. So no more questions that I can see coming in. Okay then. So thank you very much, Shukri, for your time, for your willingness to share with us your experiences.
No worries.
Yeah.
Glad to do so.
We're very grateful to have you as one of our adjunct professors. So yeah, thank you so much, Shukri, and thank you everyone for coming. I hope you got your important questions answered today,
Yeah.
and that you
Yeah.
enjoyed the session. Okay, so we will end here and let
Okay.
Shukri and everyone else go. Thanks
Okay.
so much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Miss.
Anything?
Thank you, Mr. Shukri.
Thank you.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss. Thank you,
Bye.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you. All the best. Thank you. Okay, got hung up.
All the thank yous coming in.
Okay. Thank you.
Alright. Okay.